In a humble log cabin in the wilderness of Kentucky, on February 12, 1809, a child was born into poverty and uncertainty. No one could have imagined that this fragile newborn would one day guide a divided nation through its darkest hour. Raised on the harsh American frontier, young Abraham learned resilience early. Life offered no comfort, only forests to clear, fields to plow, and the constant test of survival. With little formal education, he taught himself by firelight. Each borrowed book became a doorway, each page a step away from obscurity and toward destiny. At just 9 years old, Abraham faced heartbreaking loss. His mother's death left a silence deeper than the wilderness around him. Yet in grief, his quiet strength began to form. Tall, strong, and determined, he split rails and labored in the fields of Indiana. These years forged his endurance and shaped the humility he would carry into power. Drifting down the Mississippi River, he glimpsed a nation far larger than the frontier. The journey broadened his world and awakened questions that would define his future. In New Orleans, he saw slavery firsthand. The sight left a lasting mark. Though silent in that moment, history would remember what his conscience could never forget. Through relentless self-study, he became a lawyer. With logic as his weapon and words as his tool, he began shaping justice in the small courtrooms of Illinois. Stepping onto a modest platform, he found his voice. Not loud, but clear. Not flashy, but sincere. A leader defined not by power, but by principle. In the Illinois legislature, he learned the machinery of democracy. Debate sharpened him. Opposition strengthened him. The prairie lawyer was rising. In courtrooms across Illinois, he earned respect for honesty and clarity. They called him Honest Abe, a reputation built not on ambition, but integrity. In 1842, he married Mary Todd Lincoln, a woman of intelligence and ambition. Their union would endure triumph, tragedy, and the crushing weight of war. In 1858, he faced Stephen A. Douglas in a series of debates that electrified the nation. Though he lost the Senate race, his words echoed far beyond Illinois. As telegraph wires clicked through the night, history shifted. Against all odds, Abraham Lincoln was elected President of the United States. He stood tall but solemn. The nation was fracturing. The burden of preserving the Union now rested on his shoulders. At the steps of the United States Capitol, he swore to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution, while the shadow of civil war loomed. Inside the White House, maps covered the tables. Casualty lists grew longer. Every decision carried the weight of thousands of lives. On the fields of Gettysburg, he spoke just 272 words. In minutes, he redefined the meaning of freedom and the purpose of a nation. With steady hand, he signed the Emancipation Proclamation. It did not end the war, but it transformed its cause. The fight was now for human freedom. He walked among the wounded, carrying the sorrow of a divided people. Leadership, he knew, required compassion as much as command. With war nearing its end, he called not for vengeance, but for healing. With malice toward none, with charity for all. On April 14, 1865, he sought a rare evening of rest at Ford's Theater, unaware that history was approaching from behind. A single gunshot shattered the celebration. The nation's guiding voice fell silent, but his ideals would not. Through the streets of Washington, a grieving nation stood still. Black draped flags whispered farewell to the man who saved the Union. Today, beneath the silent gaze of the Lincoln Memorial, his words still echo. A reminder that democracy demands courage and that freedom must be preserved generation after generation.